Hey, what's up, everybody? We got an episode of Deals with Dean. This one was pretty straightforward with a big payday. Can't wait to share the details. Let's go. All right, coming back. Let's dive into the details on this one. But before we get started, if you guys could do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, make sure you smash the thumbs up. Lets YouTube know that you want to see some more and help support this channel. So appreciate your support on that. All right, let's get started on the details here. So we got a property here which came through another investor, okay? This has been a great source for us as we have really done a lot of outreach to other investors in the community. And I'm sure if you're watching some of our other videos, you'll hear more about our Friends with Benefits program. This is where we are basically lending all of our resources to other investors that are in the business as well and doing deals together. You probably have talked about it like co-wholesaling, joint ventures. Well, we just keep it really straightforward and simple. We're all about getting the deal done, no matter how we got to do it. So whether we're doing all the work or we're kind of splitting the work 50-50, we're happy to do the deal and provide as much value to other people as possible. But let's get into this deal. So this deal came from another investor we've done deals with before, and he actually had the property under contract already. A little bit of a tricky property, had a tenant in the property. It's got a backstory about how it's a friend of the seller and they hadn't raised rents over years. So the rent was pretty low for the area. Sometimes this can present a problem for selling the property because a potential buyer who's going to buy this property might see that as an issue, having low rents, not having deferred maintenance, all those kind of things. But luckily, the person who ended up buying this property is someone who knew that full well and wanted to buy this property, give the tenants a notice to vacate, and fix up the property. The numbers on this one are juicy enough for the buyer to handle that, and they're totally fine with doing that. Now, let's talk about the deal. Deal's a pretty straightforward one. As I mentioned, it had the tenant in there. The house needs, well, I don't know. We don't know how much work it needs because we couldn't get access to the property. The seller was just an older seller who didn't want to deal with trying to coordinate getting access to the property. So that can potentially be a problem for you if you're needing to sell a property for top dollar. If a buyer doesn't know what they're getting into, then they might just shy away from it or assume the worst and make an offer based on that. So what we ended up doing on this one to find a buyer was pretty clever. What we did was we looked around and sent it out to our buyers list first and foremost. And we had some feedback. We had some people that were interested in the property and they just weren't taking action. So we thought first, well, let's make a price reduction. We made a price reduction. We had plenty of spread on the numbers to do so, and we got some more attention. But to lock in the buyer that we got, I actually took it another step further and looked at some of the recent comps, trying to make sure that my numbers were accurate and make sure that we were presenting a property at a fair value. Where we ended up going was looking around the neighborhood and seeing properties that have recently sold. Now, from the time that I had first sent the property out to actually locating the buyer we went with, I looked at the comps again to make sure I was looking at the numbers correctly, and I found a new property that went pending. Just right on Redfin, looking at comps that were around that were sold, Redfin decided to publish a property as a comparable that was pending. So I took a look at the pending property. It happened to be a flip, a beautifully redone flip right around the corner that was definitely a comp for this property. So what you should do and what I did is immediately look who the owner of that property is. You're going to utilize Propstream to look up this property, see who the owner is, which would be likely an investor or someone who's looking to capitalize on an improving market and remodel it themselves. And then I took it a step further and I skip traced the entity name. Okay, now how do you do that? You can skip trace the entity name and try to see if you can find the owner's contact information. But what I did is I went straight to the Secretary of State website on opencorporates.com. They tie into the Secretary of State website. I did an easy LLC search. Lo and behold, it gave me the owner of the LLC's name. Then I skip traced their name associated with their mailing address. All right, little tip and trick there. If you use it, you can then contact that person fairly easy. I did that. I sent them a text message, let them know they did a great job on their flip. They should check out this other property right around the corner. Bada boom, bada bing. We put the two together, got on the phone, put the deal together for the price we were asking after we had reduced it, and it was a pretty straightforward deal after that. Now, to flash forward to where we're at, closing this deal actually tomorrow. By the time this video goes live, boom, I will pop up a closing statement showing the profit we made on it, which is $50,000. Now, it's a $50,000 profit that we are splitting with the person who brought it to us. We dealt with finding the buyer. They dealt with locating the seller and locking up the property. In this situation, that's how that deal worked out. And it's a win-win for everybody involved. So, summarize where we're at. We had a seller who was a little bit difficult, didn't really want to show the property, so we didn't have a clear understanding of what the inside looked like. Had sent the property out knowing those were the conditions and the situation. We had some interested buyers, and then ultimately found a buyer who would flip just right around the corner, and they already knew what it took them to remodel that property, and they had the perfect comparable property that would support the numbers in the flip that we offered to them. So we put it together and took it to escrow, getting the deal closed tomorrow. Again, got a closing statement. We'll be able to flash up for you to see how we turned out on this one, and it's a win-win all around. So, hope you enjoyed that. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of Deals with Dean, and we'll catch you on the next one.